Hello and welcome to a bank holiday edition of the FM21 A-League Rundown. The format, if you're new to Rundown, is that I look back at all the news, events, transfers and results in the Mariners' massive universe in the previous week. There have been 14 prior episodes, so go back and watch them. Have you done that? Okay, I'll proceed. While you are here, feel free to drop a like and even a cheeky subscribe if you're feeling generous. So I have my notes, a microphone and a wireless mouse in order to deliver this sermon. We begin, as always, with Adelaide United, who have allowed goalkeeper James Delinioff to join Campbelltown City on loan, and they are currently entertaining offers for fullback Ryan Strain. He looks to have a choice between Port Melbourne and Croydon Kings. Really surprised to see this because got a lot of time for Ryan Strain. I think he is a really good fullback and a good defender first and foremost. Seoul Young Woo put the Reds ahead against Melbourne City this weekend at Amy Park, but it was a point for Adelaide in a game that featured debuts for new signings Matt Sporanovic, Dario Vidicic, goalkeeper Ullison and Tommy Marcella. We do have the transfer window roundup post here as well. As you can see, free transfers for the likes of Perth Glory, Sydney FC and Melbourne City. Biggest spenders were Melbourne Victory with 93k dropped, and the most active Adelaide United, the Reds having brought in 11 players. Jets boss Scott Miller made the trip to Dolphin Stadium to see his player Joey Champness in action as the Raw ran out 2-0 winners against Perth Glory, with Dylan Wenzel-Halls and this man, Corey Brown, on the score sheet for the Raw. He would go on to claim Player of the Match honours with a goal, 100% of tackles won and 79% of passes completed. Brisbane Roar under Warren Moon have now won 3 on the bounce and they are 6 games unbeaten. It seems to be moving in the right direction on the A-League ladder. In terms of ourselves, the Central Coast Mariners, we rejected an offer for Kai Rolls from Melbourne Victory to send him out on loan before defeating the Big V in Gosford by a score of 4-2. Really entertaining fixture this one, and as you can see, Matt Simon bagged a hat-trick. Lewis Fenton made his debut for the club at fullback, and Kai Rolls got himself sent off in the opening 20 minutes. Perhaps he was a little bit unhappy with not being able to go out on loan. That seems to maybe have influenced him putting in quite a strong two-footed tackle on 17 minutes, and deservedly, if we're honest, earning his marching orders. Former Sydney FC goalkeeper Andrew Redmayne has been snapped up as our backup goalkeeper to replace the outgoing Pierce. He's been released. Look to see Redmayne in action before the end of the season. We'll give him a couple of games in the first team just to see what he can do. But we are, of course, delighted with the form of Mark Birighitti. A goal in the 90th minute by veteran striker Matt Derbyshire earned MacArthur FC all 3 points as they narrowly beat Western Sydney Wanderers in Campbelltown. MacArthur had actually gone behind to an early Bernie Abini goal before James Meredith squared the ledger. Derbyshire put the home side in front before Bernie Abini equalised, setting up a bit of a Desmond, and then it was Derbyshire in the dying embers of the game securing all 3 points. The two clubs have, though, done some late business, it has to be said, in the transfer window, with new Wanderers signing Matt Miller, now on loan with the Bulls. I'm not entirely sure about this one, because that must mean that Miller's had 3 clubs this year. He went from Newcastle Jets. He was on loan at Shrewsbury, actually, then was back at the Jets, now signed for the Wanderers, and has gone out on loan to MacArthur. So I'm not sure how they've got around FIFA rules there, but Newcastle Jets and MacArthur seem to be the people behind the move there. Tony Vidmar being sacked at Perth Glory makes the Melbourne City news page for some strange reason, as Marco Tilio seals a loan move to Adelaide City. The Citizens were held to that 1-1 draw as discussed by Adelaide United. Adrian Luna getting the goal for Patrick Kisnorbo's side. City have signed former MLS striker Darren Mattocks to give support to Jamie McLaren. Mattocks has had a few clubs, it has to be said, in MLS, including Vancouver Whitecaps, Portland Timbers, DC United, and FC Cincinnati. Has scored goals at all the clubs he's been at, not in a massive amount, but he is somebody who is a bit of a threat. 50 international caps for Jamaica to his name, 18 goals. He is only 30 years old, so a really good signing, I think, for Melbourne City. The reason, I should say, that Tony Vidmar's sacking makes the news here is because the next cab off the rank could be Patrick Kisnorbo, given the A-League sack race predicted by the Perth Football Free Press just at the bottom of the screen here, with Mark Rudan also considered to be somewhat on the bubble. City are 9th in the A-League. Big surprise, especially considering their real-life form, which has been pretty sparkling, certainly until this weekend, when they were defeated at the 6th time of asking by Western United. So there you go. Art not necessarily reflecting real life. Melbourne Victory lost to the Mariners in Gosford, although they did score 2 goals through Callum McManaman and defender Aaron Anderson. They've got several new signings, including Cameron Cristani from Peninsula Power, Jesse Macarunas from Brunswick City, and Anthony Burke-Gilroy from Tacoma. So he's been brought back to Australian football by the 5-time A-League champions? 5 or 4? One of the two. Delete as necessary. Newcastle Jets winger Rami Najarine was named Young Player of the Month for March in the A-League, beating both Dylan Ruiz-Diaz and Dane Ingram into 2nd and 3rd respectively. An own goal by Jason Hoffman was the highlight, really, and contributed to the victory by Sydney FC at the McDonald Jones Stadium this weekend. The Jets losing 2-1 at home to the Sky Blues. Roy O'Donovan did score his 7th of the season, but it only came after the Hoff had been sent off, so it was something of a nightmare game for the veteran player there, not only scoring an own goal, but then getting a straight red card, has to be said. Didn't get a yellow earlier in the piece for what is considered a bad tackle on 82 minutes. It certainly was. The Jets, another team right outside the top 6. They don't look like they're going to break into the final series positions. The free transfer of Dylan Manami and loss to Brisbane Roar proved to be the final acts of Tony Vidmar as Perth Glory boss. The Glory are now seeking their 3rd permanent manager of the season, with Frank Farina again in temporary charge. So it's really gone badly for the Glory. They're down at the foot of the A-League. The Wooden Spooners, it looks to be pretty secure for them to finish right at the bottom of the pile this year. Surprising because there's some fantastic players there. Diego Castro, Bruno Fornaroli, the likes of Nick D'Agostino coming through. They've signed players like David Carney, really experienced. And they've got Liam Reddy at the back there. Osama Malik knows what he's doing. So, big surprise to see the Glory struggle so much, and it's really affected them quite badly. As you can see, in terms of their managerial history, Tony Vidmar only given 45 days before he was sacked. Didn't win a game. 2 draws, 4 losses. Pretty poor there. Frank Farina, in his first stint as caretaker, 1 game won and 1 drawn. So, pretty good. Maybe go with him. And before that, Richard Garcia didn't win a game. Look at that, 0-1. Absolutely shocking, their performance. We'll have a look at the table in all its glory and splendour later, but Perth are one of the big stories to be looking at. South Korean manager Jong-Wo Ryong has taken over at the Sky Blues. He has been imported from the Chinese Super League at an expense of 70k. Robbie Stanton has returned to his role as assistant, and it's been a good start for the new manager. The Sky Blues beating Newcastle Jets in his debut game, and also several new players appearing for the first time in Sky Blue colours, including former Wanderers goalkeeper Daniel Lopar, Richard Winbickler and Devontae Clut. Looks to be good times ahead. Sydney are third, but it is the gap between them and the Knicks in second, which I think has seen Steve Corica bite the bullet. Harry van der Sag has turned down the option to move. He had a lot of offers from clubs taking him away on a temporary contract. Interesting. Roland Lamar, formerly, it has to be said, of FC's Dallas and Cincinnati, was in action for Wellington Phoenix as they drew with Western United across the Tasman. Controversy came later on in the form of an interview by Mark Rudan. Fairly sure nobody will be that surprised to hear that. He accused the Knicks of aggressive play. His former side, of course, he took them into the final series and has done really well ever since. It was an accusation refuted, it has to be said, laughed off by Ufi Talai later on. Western Sydney Wanderers missed out on both Brandon Wilson and Jake Brimmer on loan. The transfer window ended just a few days ago. They then missed out on a point against MacArthur due to that late Matt Derbyshire goal, as mentioned earlier. Keanu Bacchus will be banned for Wanderers' next game after he reached the yellow card limit, which is 5 yellow tickets picked up in the season thus far. Jordan O'Doherty could be on his way out on loan to Blacktown City, Rockdale City Suns or Gold Coast United of the NPL. It was honours even at Eureka Stadium between Western United and Wellington Phoenix. Lots of bookings for two sides: Tomoki Imai, Davila, Ball, Berisha, Lamar and Devere, all earning the ire of the referee. Josh Risdon has picked up a twisted ankle injury on the same week as Sebastian Pasquale has now agreed to move to Canberra in the summer. So he'll be exiting on the 1st of July for a transfer fee of 78,000. So, initial fee of 80 grand, apparently. Strange to have different numbers on the same article, but there you go. So Western will be receiving a bit of a fee. There's also news, of course, of Mark Rudan's interview that he gave after that game against Wellington. But I can tell you that FC Bayern forward Joshua Zirkzee has rejected the move to the green and black. In terms of the A-League table itself, the Mariners at the top, we have a 7-point advantage as the Knicks drop points with that draw. They've now drawn their last 2 games, creating a bit of a gap there. Sydney now 8 points behind the Knicks in 3rd place. There does seem to be a bit of a breakaway for the top 6. Adelaide United there with 25 points, Western with 22. So there's a 3-point gap there between the 2 clubs, and you just wonder if that is going to just open up a bit and the top 6 to perform a bit of a breakaway. Surprising here to see the likes of Melbourne City, MacArthur and Western Sydney Wanderers, who in real life are the ones pressuring Alan Stagic's Mariners at the top of the A-League ladder. Perth Glory, they're down at the bottom. 1 win all season, that one under Frank Farina, 5 draws, 8 points to their name, and a -19 goal difference, having conceded 42 goals. That's more than double the likes of Wellington Phoenix, Sydney FC and Brisbane Roar, who have only conceded 17 in 17 games. The problem for them, they've only scored 21. So that is a bit of an issue for Warren Moon's side. There are fixtures to come, including Wednesday, a bit of a Wednesday football edition, as Melbourne Victory take on Brisbane Roar. That's usually a good game in real life, well worth the watch. And then Friday, the Mariners travel to Perth, so top versus bottom there. Then we've got Sky Blue versus City Blue in the second game. On Saturday, the Knicks host Brisbane Roar, back in action. Western Sydney Wanderers take on Western United in a battle to be the best Western. Interestingly, if Western Sydney Wanderers win that, they would go above Western on goal difference. They'll be level on 22 points. And the weekend ends on Sunday with Adelaide United against MacArthur. So Adelaide looking to just put a bit of a buffer between them and the Bulls by securing all 3 points. And then Melbourne Victory take on Newcastle Jets. So the Jets really needing a win to even keep any hope of their top 6 and the final series hopes alive. Do join us on Thursday for the Mariners Massive. That will be the fixture between the Central Coast Mariners and Perth Glory. So title chasers against potential wooden spooners, and the game will be played at HBF Park. So do join us for that on Thursday. I'll see you then.